Hello, everybody. All right, so I am making sure that this live is broadcasting on Facebook because for some reason, sometimes it locks out and it's not public. So let me find this. I figured that's what was happening. Editing it on my phone. So I'm going to, and look, y'all, I can't see. It's so tiny on my tablet. And I'm about to go live on TikTok too. So this is going to be a new thing. I'm going live on Facebook, YouTube, and on TikTok, right? I don't know, but we're going to have an honest conversation tonight all about money. It's like the taboo thing people don't like talking about. If you can hear me, please let me know in the comments, please, before I get started, because I have my microphone on and I want to make sure that I'm not talking to dead air. This has happened before. So can y'all hear me? Can you hear me? Can y'all hear me? Let me know if y'all can hear me, y'all. Put something in the comments. I don't know if Facebook comments are gonna pull up, so hold on. I don't even know where y'all watching from. So if you on, there we go. Oh, I can hear myself. I should have just tested. I should have just tested it myself. All right, y'all, give me 1 second. Let me pull up TikTok. I don't know what I'm doing on TikTok, y'all. I get on there, and I'm about to try this whole live feature. I tested it out the other day, and yeah, I don't know. I'm trying, y'all. I'm trying. So bear with me. Okay, so yay, we're live on all platforms. So tonight is all about why you are broke. Now, the reason why I titled this is because, for one, it's going to definitely touch some pain points. It's going to touch somewhere. Hearing that, it's, I guess, controversial or whatever. I did a video on YouTube years ago. I think this was probably about 5 years ago, and I had the same exact title, and people were pissed. And I think people were pissed that I named it that was because I don't know. They might have, you know how like when you hold a mirror in front of somebody and they don't like what they see? I think that's what happened with that. And I'm okay with it because my goal is to push you to be the best version of yourself. So if you are new here, if you have never seen me before, heard me talk, let me explain. My name is Jennifer L. Watson, and I am a professional psychic medium. I'm also a spiritual life coach, and I love talking about money. I do. So many people run away from the topic because they think it's so super personal, but it's really not. And the reason why is because the entire world runs off of money. I mean, the entire world. And if you see me looking between, it's because I got my phone right here and my tablet right here. But the entire world runs off of it. And if we are in a space where we need to be a better steward of money or have money more obsessed with us, then yes, we have no choice but to talk about it. And so that's what this whole live stream is about. It is about money. But before I continue, TikTok, y'all hold on a second. I got to play my intro. So, yeah. Oh, wait, I thought I pressed show. Gonna say thank you. All right, y'all. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. So I'm gonna tell y'all a story. It's story time, okay? And tell me if I'm yelling, because anytime I go live, I end up starting to yell for some reason. But it's story time. I have been an entrepreneur since I was 8 years old, okay? No joke. I was literally in 3rd grade selling and hustling earrings. My parents have always sold jewelry for quite some time. And around that time, my mother would sell 50-cent earrings. So she would sell them for $1. That just goes to show y'all how inflation has worked, right? And so I would take some of the earrings that she didn't really sell at the store in downtown Greensboro. It's called More Appeal back in the 90s. I would take those earrings and sell them at school for 50 cents. And one of the things that I realized during that time was that, you know, I have an unknown market in third grade for girls that wanted earrings. It's not something that I would think about. But then I look at my daughter who's 11 and she's making bracelets, right? She made this bracelet for me right here. It's this white one, if y'all can see it. It has a little turtle on it. I thought it was cute. It's pretty genius. And so, of course, I'm teaching her some of the same ropes. But as I grew up, during that time, I would always hear, you know, kids ask for stuff. They ask for toys. They ask for, you know, whatever it is. They ask, you always, I want it. Because God knows I'm getting it back now with my 11-year-old and my 2-year-old. And I would always hear my mom, oh, we can't afford that. Oh, you know, I don't got no money right now. You know, oh, you don't need that. I'm not going to buy it. You're not going to use it. I'm not going to waste my money. And so growing up, I heard all of this. And, oh, am I live? No, please share it, Atronda. I completely forgot to push it over there. Please share this, Atronda, on Facebook. Thank you. So hearing this story, you know, hearing these words and these phrases for all of my life, and I'm going to tell y'all something that happened actually pretty recently that kind of like what had me all screwed up in the head. But hearing that, I found myself following along in the same footsteps, right? And this story is not to blame, thank you, Atronda, it's not to blame my parents, because our parents are here to really just do the best that they can, right? That's what we're doing. That's what we do. I'm doing the best that I can with my kids. And I see it now more so than I did earlier when I was growing up. And I had also witnessed, I'm thinking, you know, at the time growing up, I'm thinking, oh my God, we're probably like 2 steps away from the poorhouse. And that's one of the reasons that is just now being channeled to me. One of the reasons why I started selling stuff, because I thought I had to get out and make money, right? And getting out and making, hey, Nasha, getting out and making money because my parents don't have any. We're broke. And, you know, I sold stuff literally from 3rd grade all the way up until I graduated high school. And I even sold a little bit when I got to college, but my focus kind of shifted. So going to middle school, I'm like hustling giant annihilators. I don't know if, oh, I can look at comments on TikTok, y'all. This is a whole new territory for me. I got TikTok on my phone to the right and I got y'all over here on my tablet, but it said I can swipe to, and I don't want to knock my phone down because this thing is kind of wobbly. But anyway, I'll figure out the comment thing on TikTok later. So, you know, in middle school, I'm selling the giant annihilators. I don't know if y'all remember those, but they were like my favorite. And then I get to high school, you know, I'm selling an entire candy store in a book bag. I had 2 book bags, one for my one for my books for school, and one where I had Snickers, I had Pixie Sticks. I don't even know if they make Pixie Sticks anymore. I had Snickers, Pixie Sticks. I had the cookies and cream Hershey bars when they first came out. I was in hot demand for that. I also had blow pops. I can't even remember some of the other stuff. My mom would take me out to a place back then called Tobacco USA in Greensboro, North Carolina. Tobacco USA would be like the Sam's Club. It was the place where you go to buy bulk stuff. And so then it switched over to Sam's Club when they, you know, came to the city. And, you know, throughout this whole entire childhood, again, hearing these words, I can't afford it. And as I'm thinking about it as an adult, in my child's mind, I'm thinking my parents, and don't get me wrong, I know they sacrificed. I'm thinking, oh my God, they're probably going broke trying to send me off. Like I went to Yale for a summer program in one of them grades. And then I went to California, USC for another summer program. I went to Mexico when I was 16 with my Spanish teacher and like a group of 6 girls. And in my mind, I'm like, oh my God, thank you, thank you, thank you. I know we're in the poorhouse, but I'm so really appreciative. And okay, bear with me here because I promise y'all I got a point. And I, grew up and then I went to Spelman College and my parents paid for it and that was really super expensive. And this whole time I'm repeating those same words like, oh my God, they're doing this and now I'm broke. How am I going to be able to afford, XYZ when I'm in school? I'm off living on my own, going, in Atlanta, Georgia, away from home in North Carolina. And it wasn't until I got to, honestly, it wasn't until I think I was like 26 when I started truly understanding how money worked. And that was because I was kicked off my parents' health insurance. and I think I was 20, I can't remember what age, but I think it was right after I graduated college. I can't remember. But they were claiming me as a dependent and I was working still. And so I made too much money and I ended up owing taxes. So I think my tax bill then was like $1,500. I don't know. It was something like that. So in my 20s, I'm kicked off my parents' health insurance. I got to go out and I got to get a real job now, right? I got to get a real job because I got to get health insurance. And I also have to make sure that I don't owe taxes again, which was weird. I'm like, how am I this young? Why do I owe taxes? This is not for me. So now I'm like, okay, man, all right. We got to get serious about this money thing. This is what I'm thinking to myself. And you can tell me in the comments if you can relate to this, where you're sitting there and you're talking to yourself like, hey, I really got to get serious with this money thing because I'm not really sure what I'm doing, but I know I need to be doing something. And then we create and concoct this entire plan in our head, right? Where it's based completely off of what we've done in the past, right? What we've heard in the past, what we've seen in the past. Now we're out in the real world and we're taking all of that knowledge that we've gathered from our caretakers, our parents, our grandparents, what we've seen on TV, all of that. And now we're out in the real world with all of these life, whether good or bad, lessons that we've learned about money. And so you don't really get to start seeing how money reacts to you, how you handle money until you're in the real world. Tell me if I'm right. Tell me if I'm right. Put it in the comments. Let me know. TikTok, I don't know where the comments are on here. This is like my second time live on here. So I'm going to find them later, but I'll respond later. So, I'm getting a job. What was my first job? So my first job out of college was actually working at my alma mater. And, time was okay. The timing was okay. I would work and I would, go home. I would rinse and repeat. And then I would go to work and then I would go home. And then I would work and I would go home. That is pretty much what life was. And at one point in time, I was working 3 jobs while a senior in college, which was absolutely insane. And then as an adult, I worked 2 full-time jobs. Absolutely insane. And going through this period of, it's Groundhog Day, I said, why am I doing this? I don't like it. But it's something that I have to do because this is what you do, right? You graduate college, you go and get a job and you do the same things that you've seen before, what you've seen growing up. I will tell you this. My father was like the hardest working man I had ever seen in my life. My mother, she stayed home. She had so many different health issues that she was disabled. And so she stayed at home for, since I was little. She had a stroke when she was 35, like literally right after I was born. And so like it just kind of went down from there. And so my father worked hard. I mean, He worked hard. There were plenty of times that he was not at home. There were plenty of times he wasn't able to come somewhere, for me as a kid because he wasn't home. And I'm taking that lesson and I'm working now and I'm just working. And I had to stop and think to myself as I got, up in my 30s, really, oh my God, I'm repeating what I saw my dad do. Why am I working this hard? Is it because I have a fear of not having enough? And I think that's what it was. I was working so hard, 2 full-time jobs at one time. Like I said, the 3 jobs while I was in college, senior year of college, trying to graduate. Still finished with a great GPA, but still, who wants to do that? If you want to do that, then let me know in the comments and I'll shut up. But I'm pretty sure about 99.999% of the people that's here don't want to do that. So let me tell y'all this. My parents, they're from the older school generation. They're from the baby boomers. Hey, Greensboro, hey! They're from the baby boomer generation. And so that generation, all they had ingrained in them was you've got to go out, you got to stay at a job for 30 years, you got to get your pension, and then you can retire when you're like half dead. When you have 5 years, 10 years of life left. That's what you need to do. And once I got into the workforce, I'm like, okay, I'm working, realize I don't want to. But I still keep doing it because I think it's the right thing to do. It's the thing to do. I gotta go, where am I gonna work? Where am I gonna go and work and stay for 30 years? And I'm thinking of this as a 22-year-old. Where can I go and retire from? And I kept asking myself and talking to myself and saying, do you really want to stay somewhere for 30 years? Do you really? And I'm like, but I have to. So I set out on this whole plan. The plan from throughout college with this type mindset was completely different from, as I got, I guess, in my 30s. And throughout my 20s. So in college, I said, I'm going to go and work for a federal office. I'm going to go to law school though. And that's what I'm going to do. And, I have to stick to this plan because if I don't stick to this plan, then I am a failure. This is what I'm thinking to myself. If I don't do that, I'm a failure. Fast forward and I realize, wait, you're not a failure. You're not a failure, but I am. I can't keep a job less than a year or 2 years. I don't want to stay at a job. It's not that I kept getting fired. I just didn't want to stay there. So I would go get another one and I would fall in this repetitive cycle of, I got to go get a job. Okay, I got a job. You know what? I don't like this. I'm going to go get another job. You know what? I don't like that either. I'm going to go get another job. And so that was from graduating college literally until I think, how old was I? I don't know. I think I was about 30 at that point where I would job hop. And then I get a job and it's the highest paying amount of money I ever made. And I was like, yes. And so I said, okay, I'm going to stay here. I ended up back at my alma mater until I was pregnant with my daughter. And my husband and I at the time were not married. This is my first kid. I work at my alma mater. And my boss at the time, she called me into her office and she said, it's not really a good look for you to be around here pregnant. It's giving a bad example to the young women here. And, you probably should wear a fake ring. Y'all, I couldn't say nothing. I was just like, What? Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe you're right. In that moment, I was too afraid to speak my truth. I was too afraid to stand up for what I knew was wrong, what I knew could have easily been a lawsuit. But I shriveled down and I shrunk down so much that I said, okay. And then she said, and I told the VP about it. She wants to talk to you too. And I said, okay. All right, let me go talk to her now. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to get fired. But can they really fire me? I mean, I'm about to go on maternity leave. So I go and the VP says, girl, I don't care if you went out and slept with, Tom, Dick, and Harry and you got pregnant. I don't care. I don't care about that. It was in that moment that I realized that my boss told her that I was concerned about how I looked. I could give two shits about how I looked. And that moment, I was so pissed with myself that I did not say anything about this. I cried. I went to my desk and I cried. And I said, just say something. Say something. Stand up for yourself. But I was so afraid. But I'll tell you this. In that moment, I said, I can't do this anymore. I can't. I just can't. I told my then boyfriend, now husband, I can't do this. I'm not going to quit because I want unemployment. I'm not going to quit because I want unemployment. Again, I didn't even go the legal route. So I stood there and I said, I'm going to make y'all look stupid without even doing anything. So I stopped doing everything. I did just enough to make it look like I did something that day. Just enough. Let's put on a performance plan. Oh, okay. Yep, here we go. Now my plan is starting to take into effect. Now I'm gonna tell y'all, I can't really see the comments on my tablet. I'm gonna try to tap over here. Okay, now I can see it. And I got my performance plan and I signed it. I was like, okay, everything's starting to move in the right direction. I'm about to get let go. And because I just did not give a flying, and I don't even know if I can curse on these platforms because I curse like a sailor sometimes, but I didn't give a flying F. I didn't. So I walked in to the office that day. It was on a Friday. And I had a meeting notification on my computer saying that I had a meeting with HR at 4:00 on a Friday, y'all. Like Friday, like Craig getting let go. That was me. 4:00 on a Friday. When I saw that notification, I was like, good. All right. I had already started pulling stuff from my desk. And so that day was really just the day for me to get whatever remaining little personal items. I had personal items to take home with me. So I sat there that day and I did not do anything. I didn't do anything. I literally just wasted the day away because I knew my time was coming. And when that 4:00 meeting came, HR called me up, went on up there. And she told me, hey, you're being let go, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay. She was like, oh, you don't have anything to say? Yeah, I'm in North Carolina, TikTok. She said, I said, oh, okay. She, okay, well, you have to sign here and do you have the phone, the company phone? I was like, yeah, here. I already had it cleared out. And she said, okay. And I walked right on the door. And I will never forget. I'm walking down the steps. I'm like, I don't know. I wasn't pregnant at the time. I'd already had my daughter by then, but I'm walking out the door. my boyfriend then, and my baby. They had come to pick me up, and I walked down those steps of that building. I didn't say anything to anybody. I just walked out. And here comes the director walking down the steps. And she peeked over and she was like, okay, bye. Deuces. Best thing ever to have happened in my life. I was so devastated at the time, but now here I am with, how old was she? I think not even one. I think she was like 9 months old, my daughter at the time. And I'm in Greensboro too. Yeah, you in Greensboro. Okay. 9 months old at the time. And at the time, my boyfriend, he was staying at home with the baby because we didn't want to pay for daycare. Like nowadays, it's like $2,000. It's ridiculous. And I freak. I'm like, oh my God. Now I don't have a job. We both don't have a job. What the are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Reality started setting in. What are we gonna do? I laugh about it now, y'all. But I'm telling you, some of the worst moments that ever happened in your life are some of the best moments that's going to push you forward. That's going to get you to the destination that you were intended to be. Not peddling, making making pennies while you're making this company thousands. The math ain't mathing. But during that time, I said, okay, well, I'm going to start a business. I've done this before. I sold candy all throughout middle school and high school. I sold, earrings in elementary school. I got this. It just wasn't the time. I created an LLC, wrote out an entire business plan for something very similar to Instacart. Instacart it didn't exist then. It didn't exist then. But had I actually pushed through with the idea, then I could have been owning Instacart. I think back to those days. I do. And my thought process at that time in creating this business, it was called Smart Cart. It was called Smart Cart. I think back to that time and I think about where my mind space was at. Yes, I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing for money. I'm finding all these really random things online to do for real money. And I said, okay, well, you got to work on your business. You got to work on your business. You got to work on your business. And that was 10 years ago, well over 10 years ago. And thank you. And I never did. Obviously, I never did. I wasn't confident and strong enough in myself to really get out there and do something different because it was very different. This was over 10 years ago. This was a very different idea. But I was too afraid of what people would think of me. I was too afraid of, oh, what are you doing? Oh, that's a crazy idea. That's a really dumb idea. You probably shouldn't do that. And I let those negative thoughts say, I told the negative thoughts, I said, you're right. I'm not. So what did I do? Well, during this particular time, one of the things that I wanted to manifest after I graduated college was to buy a condo. And that was the thing I did. I did that at 22 down in Decatur, Eastside. It was brand new buildings. It was one of the worst decisions I ever made. Even though they were brand new buildings, the neighborhood, like I saw somebody stealing the TV, like he just had a TV on his back and he was just running across the complex into this neighborhood. And I was like, is he stealing a TV in the middle of the day? And that's so weird. It was a home invasion in the building behind me. It went to shit. I don't even know if I can say that, but, and I said, okay, let me try to sell this place. And Bank of America was the worst. Never ever work with Bank of America on mortgages. Okay. Yeah, girl, it was real bad. Oh wait, I got more stories. So I ended up just going through just foreclosing on the property. I just walked away from it because it was just horrible. It was a horrible, horrible experience. The bank was horrible. Everything was horrible. So we ended up moving to this very, very country town called Barnesville, Georgia. So I think that was about 45 minutes south of Atlanta. I mean, the town had 6,000 people in it. It was very, very small. But I had this, I still do have this obsession with Victorian style stuff. Like, obviously you could see, well, you can't see my room now, but it's Victorian style. And so we get down there where we both just moved, we both quit. Well, we didn't, not quit, but we both not working. And so we get down in this space, and this is where I come up with this whole smart cart that I had started actually working on when I was working at that place I was just mentioning. And so we get down there and we're like, okay, well, how are we going to pay rent? And so now it's my turn to stay at home with our daughter at the time. And so he goes out and gets a job in this small town. So I'm staying at home with her, and I can't, I'm at home with a toddler trying to figure out what my next steps are. And I have this potential business that I let go because so many things were going on around me that I couldn't even sit down and concentrate. Have you ever been in a position where you say, okay, I have got to get this goal out. I have got to do this particular thing, but then the world happens, things happen around you, right? And you lose complete sight of what it was that you set out to do. That's called life. But there's another thing after that called determination. So either your life is going to determine what you do, or you are going to create the life that you want. And at that time, I was too weak. I was too weak mentally to say, I am going to be determined to get this off the ground, come hell or high water. I was too weak. And it's okay if you've ever found yourself in a space like that. It's okay. Because you don't have to stay there. You just have to wake up and make the decision, nah, this is not going to be my story. So some things happened in this particular house that we had, and I had to move back home. And when I moved back home, he stayed in Georgia. I'm up there with a toddler in North Carolina. This is when I come back to North Carolina at 30 years old with a 2-year-old moving back into my parents' house with no job, no nothing. And I'm just like, okay, I thought I was getting better. Mentally, I'm really trying. And my mom made me pay rent, which I was okay with until my brother moves back and he doesn't pay anything because he's going through a transition in life. But, I'm like, okay, well, how am I going to pay you rent? Well, my husband has time. I mean, my boyfriend has time. He's working. So I'm getting money from him to pay. And then I'm like, all right, well, I guess I ain't got no choice but to go out and get another job. So that's what I found comfort in. How many times do you go to work and say, you know what? I'm quite comfortable here. How many times do you say that? I'm pretty sure you don't. Not unless you really are passionate about what you're doing. But when you have just a job, how many times you go, this feels real good. I'm in a good place, right? And it's not that you're getting comfortable. It's not that you're saying that you're comfortable. What you're saying is your energy is saying, I am comfortable with where I am right now in my little hole, again, making pennies, kind of just twiddling away with, nobody asked me anything, So this is what I do. I go and get another job. And I still don't have a really good relationship with money at this time, right? I tried to put myself out there, but now I'm again reverting back to what I think is comfortable, and that's getting a job because that's all I've seen growing up. How many times, or what did you see growing up that's still influencing you today? That is a huge question that you have got to be honest with yourself and answer in order to make change. That's the only way you're going to make change. The only way. I get this job and I say, you know what? I'm going to go back to school. This is after I moved back. I'm going to go back to school. I was a professional student. I have 3 degrees and I was starting on the 4th. Bachelor's in psychology, master's in criminal justice because I thought I was going to law school, but the LSAT was like, your score is not high enough. So I didn't go to law school. I went to master's in criminal justice. Then I got a master's in transpersonal psychology with a specialization in spiritual psych. And then I said, this is what I know. This is comfortable. I'm gonna start my PhD now. But I'm gonna tell y'all about being a professional student. Had I known now, had I known then, what I know now is that I probably would have just got my bachelor's and been okay. I really wish that I knew, or I had someone to really sit me down and say, okay, you really don't have to go and get all these degrees. Because I didn't finish my PhD because I maxed out my federal loans. I wasted a lot of time and money making mistakes. I wasted a lot of time and money. How many of you have wasted your money on something? Something major. It may not be school. It could be something. How many of you have wasted your time and energy on something that did not pay out? Because I couldn't get a job in any of my degrees. Well, I lied. That's another story. But I really couldn't. For the most part, I couldn't. And I would not have gone to school as much as I did. And the only reason why I started my PhD was because I thought, this is good. If I can put doctor behind my name, people are going to respect me. And little did I know, like I know now, is that nobody could give two, again, about how many degrees you got. There are tons of people out here making anti. Oh no, I went to Spelman in Atlanta. But my entire family, this is on TikTok, y'all. My entire family went to A&T, but I was like, I'm gonna leave Greensboro. But yeah, I love A&T. I was thinking about going to homecoming out now. Greatest homecoming on earth. What, Aggie? I did go to the primary school there. So I'm an honorary Aggie. My daughter did too. My brother did too. My daddy, my other brother. Anyway, okay, I'm sorry, I digress, y'all. But and am I back at home with a toddler was one of my lowest points, I think. It was one of my lowest points. I thought before it was low, but then I was like, oh my God, what has my life turned into? How many of you have ever gotten to a place in life where you're like, I don't know what's going on right now. I don't know which direction to go. I don't know what to do right now, right? How many have you ever experienced something like that, a time in your life? How many of you are experiencing it now where you just don't know what? And I say all that to say is that when I graduated from college at 22, my spiritual journey started when I was 13. And I had an abortion at 13 years old. So things had already started turning for me in my head. I was very, very introspective, like trying to really figure out, which is the reason why I did psychology this whole entire time. And I'm not ashamed to admit this. I'm not, because I learned something very tremendous. I learned many things about myself during this entire time, this entire path, and still learning because it never ends. What might work one time might not work the next. What you might have done or need to do, maybe you could do again and repeat it, right? But life is about making sure that you learn the lesson the first time. Because if not, it's going to repeat. It's going to repeat. And it might come back harder and stronger. It's going to repeat. I couldn't get the word out. And so I say that, I mentioned that at 13 to fast forward at 22, where I was just sitting at this desk and I was like, I live my life by the wind. And I remember that because it was really deeply embedded in me. And so at 22 to now being in my parents' house, and I was like, that motto really has been true. Like I've been jumping from job to job. I just, like that has been my life, but is this good? Is this how I should live? Now I got this kid that I have to make sure I can feed. and have a roof over their head. And so, me and my husband are talking about him moving up to North Carolina with me. He's from Atlanta. And so, I'm trying to drag him up here to North Carolina with me, where it's so much cheaper and there's no traffic. I do not miss that about Atlanta. I love Atlanta. It's my second home, but the traffic, no, not so much. And then I've told this story before, but one of the things that I did leave out was the part that we were homeless. He did move up here and we were homeless. And the reason why is because my parents absolutely hated him. But here I am with, our kid, and he's moving up here. I'm not going to I can't just sleep at my parents' house comfortably while he's up here for us. And so we didn't have any, and the reason why we were homeless is because we didn't have enough money to really figure out what we were doing. Where were we gonna live? Our credit was shit. It was shot. Couldn't get nothing. And I'm like, what are we gonna do? Sleeping in hotels, and not good hotels. If you're in Greensboro, like on TikTok, I know some of y'all are in there on Greensboro. It was that hotel that was off of I think it's JJ Drive over there off South Elm, in between that street. You know that hotel. It used to be pink. And it's gone through so many different names, but it is a well-known trafficking area. It's really, really bad. Yeah, and then we spent a couple of nights there. I don't know. It was bugs, but that was what we could afford. And I'll tell y'all some, just briefly, because there was lessons learned along this way. And, going to the duplex, with the crackheads and our drug, dealing neighbors, and then going to the other house where, our neighbor's house was shot up and the shell casings were in our driveway, going all throughout these experiences from being homeless to where we are now. I had to get really real with myself about, am I going to let money control me? Am I going to control it? Because so many of us let it control us. And that is one of the number one reasons why you're broke. And again, I'm not wishing that on anybody. I use that as a mirror. If you ever say, I am broke, stop it now. Stop it. Just stop it. And I still have my moments. I was a spender. I was a spender. Didn't matter if I had my electric bill paid. I would go out, with my refund checks from school, which is one of the reasons why I kept going to school, because I really liked those refund checks because it was comfortable. I could count on that money coming in, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, but don't let that be the driving force. Don't let that make you super excited to get that, because now it's something that once it's gone, the whole oh my God, again, is going to rise up in your spirit. And, it's just it's going to show its ugly head again. And one of the things that is super important is your partner, spouse, whatever, girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, partner, whatever words you want to use. You got to look at them too, and how they react with money, how they respond to money. I really had a good game face. How many of you out here have ever tried to play on the outside? Like, yes, I'm really good with money. I'm really serious about money because it's the adult thing to do. So when him and I had met early in our relationship, his license was suspended because of a seatbelt ticket that he just never went to pay. And he asked me to borrow the money. And I was like, I don't. Okay, so we're going to draw up a contract. I'm going to draw up a contract because I'm trying to make sure that you see that I'm serious. And then, I can see the seriousness in your face. And if you don't pay me, I'm suing you. I ain't trying to tell y'all all our business, but I laugh because I'm trying to make him see that I'm really good. Your law contains things that some may find uncomfortable and has been restricted. Regulated goods content. Okay, I don't know what that is. I don't know. That popped up on my phone. I hope y'all was still there, TikTok. So I was like, okay, but going through our relationship, we're both very driven. He had the more street side of education when it comes to money, and I had the more, business oriented mind. But when you put both of those together and you really try to build and work towards something that matters, that's going to matter for not just y'all together, but for your family as well, that's where you have to be. So if you got somebody that's whispering in your ear late at night, that might be, doing whatever else to make you feel good. But if they're not making you feel good about any of the income that's coming in the house that need, for bills to be paid out, you might want to start reevaluating who you letting, get that close to you. If you don't, you might start picking up some of their habits. And now their habits have become your habits. And especially when it comes to the energetic exchange in sex. You might start doing things that, you didn't even realize you were doing. and then you wake up one day and it's like, whoa, that's not me. Why have I been doing this for so long? It's one of those things that you got to think about. So, I'll tell you this. Eventually I got my shit together, obviously. You can see my shirt, House of Voya Botanica. I know you can't see it on the iPad there, but you can see the logo up there. Where I started this business in the corner of an apartment. In that apartment, somebody was murdered outside my bedroom window. But I said, I'm not going to do this again. I am not going to do this to myself. Now my stepson is at the time living with us, on top of my daughter. And I'm like, we finally got this apartment. Oh my God, we got this apartment after the hotels. And I said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And at this time, my husband, he had his job, which was really good job that he got when he moved up here. And I told him, I said, I forgot. I had gotten yet another job after moving back home because I thought I was going to go back to school, and they offered me a full-time, salary position. And I turned it down. I turned it down because it was now or never. Are you going to do this or what? If you have a business or ever even thought about owning a business, let me know in the comments. Let me know if you've tried to have a business before and you did not want to bet on yourself and you went back to what was comfortable. Let me know that in the comments as well. Because in that moment, I said, I'm going to do this. Ooh, but they were giving me a salary and they were giving me benefits. But I didn't want to make the same. I didn't want to repeat the same cycle. I've been repeating this cycle so much in my life. If I go ahead and take this job, am I going to quit in 2 years? I probably am. I probably am. I'm just not meant for the whole work 30 years somewhere and retire. My parents could not understand why I thought like that. They could not understand it. They were like, what? Why can't you just stay at a job? I was like, I don't want to. As my mother got older before she died, and my dad now, of course, they get it now. They really do get it. How many of y'all out there have a business and you have people in your life that go, okay, you got a business. Oh, that's cute. That's real cute. That's real cute. You got a business. All right. I don't care. How many times have you heard that from people? And they don't even have to be close, but just from people. And you let that be on a tape recorder playing over and over in your head, right? And I did it. I did it. And I have not looked back. You know, I started this business in the corner of that apartment. Originally, it was called The Psychic Corner. I changed the name of my business because, again, my spiritual journey has been progressing and still is. And when we moved to the next house, I said, okay, I'm going to have one of the rooms and I'm going to use that room for the business. And then we moved into the next house and I used the basement for the business. It was a really large basement. And then we bought this house and I've transformed the 2-car garage into the entire business. And it still spills up into this room because this is my spirit room. You know, living in that house, the one where I had the business in the room, I got to really thinking about that boss. I really got to thinking about it. And I was like, you know what? I just want to find her. And I want to really tell her what's on my mind. So now all these years I've worked up, I'm like, come on, get it together. Stop being so daggone nice. I found her. Of course, she wasn't working there anymore, but I found her and I sent her a good email. And if y'all didn't catch the beginning, I am a psychic medium. By this time I'm doing it professionally. I've been doing it all of my life, but by this time I'm doing it professionally. And I read her for filth. Oh, unfortunately experiences all 3 things. I'm so sorry. It's okay. I got something for you though. And I never heard back from her, but I felt good. Granted, it was years later. I felt good about what I did. And on the same token, I want to thank her because I don't think I would have left without being pushed out. Because I was okay there. Again, I'm making the most money that I've ever made. I mean, it was a lot, right? But I needed it to be that way because I had the benefits, had the kid, my husband's at home with our daughter, and I probably would have stayed a while because, again, I need to, stay here and build a future, build a professional future. But I really do. If she ever ends up seeing this, I thank her. I thank her. So I had a lot of lessons that I have learned over the years. I've learned so many lessons over the years that I'm actually now putting those lessons on paper to be able to help other people. Because I know what it's like. I know what it's like. It wasn't until I started thinking, I don't need to chase money. Money needs to chase me. Wait, why are you worrying? Worrying is a prayer for the unwanted. That's you. I understand. Worrying, I'm gonna say that again. Worrying is a prayer for the unwanted. It is a prayer to bring in all of the things that you don't want. How many of you all will sit there and worry? I raise my hand. I'm human. I don't do it now as much. But I sure enough repeated in my head, oh, I got to do this. Oh, I don't have the money for that. Oh. It wasn't until I started really putting into practice, learning all these lessons throughout the time, these years, and really digging into my whole spiritual journey and my spiritual walk, where I said, okay, let's do this. And my business has made multiple 6 figures. I just got to stop for a moment. Woo! I got to stop for a moment Mm, 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 mm. My business has made multiple six figures. We had this house built from the ground up. Right after we bought this house, I said, okay, we bought this house in 2022. I told my husband, I want to go down there. I shopped for cars. I shopped for cars and I said, I want this one. We got to get a bigger car because I'm pregnant. I just had my son. He's almost 3 next month. And I said, I want to go in this dealership and I don't want to put no money down and I don't want to trade in a car. And we walked out of there. Again, this was in 2022. We walked out of there with my, 2022 Platinum Nissan Pathfinder. That wasn't my story 10 years ago. That wasn't my story 20 years ago. But it's my story now. And that is what I want to teach you. If you have had a business and started over and started over and started over, let me teach you these lessons. Let me dig into what's going on in your life in the moment to make sure that you're not just putting one foot in front of the other, but you're running. Okay? You're running. You're not just barely getting by, you're taking off. If it costs you $10 a month to make you $100,000, it is a no-brainer. It is an absolute no-brainer. I wish I had somebody like me. That's what they say in business, right? You be the person that you wish you had along the way. And so this has been my goal. I will tell you, I don't believe in competition. I know. It's a silly thing to say. I mean, I believe in enough research of the field to make this, educated decisions. But to sit here and go, no, I don't like that. Why are you out here doing this? Why? Oh no, you can't be making no more, more money than me. That's not me. That's not me. Because now I'm putting myself on a lower energetic vibration where I'm thinking that the universe is limited in the amount of money that can circulate. But do y'all know how much money that the government prints out? Way more than they need to, okay? There is absolutely no limit in the amount of money that can circulate. If I'm gonna eat, we all gonna eat. You know what I'm saying? I don't believe in that because just as much as I can teach, I can still learn. I am not above learning. I'm not, because my shoes don't fit you and your shoes don't fit me. But I am here to facilitate and guide. I am here to share my experiences. I am here to say I've made that mistake plenty of times to know that it shouldn't be done again. If you like this and you want somebody to be behind you, you want somebody in your corner, then the group is on Facebook. It's on my profile. It's Jennifer L. Watson. If you search for it, you'll see me in like a black and purple picture on Facebook, and you'll see a button that says subscribe on my profile. Yeah, that's the space that I'm going to do it in. And I'm not going to take a whole lot of people on. I do want it to be still an intimate community to make sure that, the energy is really free flowing there. But if you could take $10 a month to change the trajectory of your life, but if you don't want to, then trust me, I'm not going to fight you on it. You can keep doing what you're doing. Ain't got nothing to do with me. So, yeah. Throughout this entire broadcast, I know I told you a lot of what my story was. And the reason why I did that is because I wanted to tell you all of the life lessons that I've learned. And ultimately answering the question of why are you broke, I was answering why I was broke. That was the entire broadcast on why I was broke. You see what I did there? You see what I did? And I know I'm not the only one. I know I'm not. That's the reason why I phrased it like that. But I will drop the link in TikTok because God knows I'm seeing the comments coming up now. I'll drop it in the comments after. This is my second time live on TikTok, y'all, so y'all gotta bear with me. But I will definitely drop it over here on Facebook and YouTube. $10 a month when you can make 100,000. I don't even know what that percentage is. I don't know, 10,000%. I don't know, y'all. Math was not my strong point. Okay, it was not my strong point. And if y'all have any questions, by all means, send me a message. I think really it's not a whole lot to think about. It's either you're in or you're not. It's either you're going to do it now or you're not. If you give yourself too much time to ponder upon it, you're not going to do it. Right? That's something that I've learned. If I give myself too much time, I'm just really not serious about changing my life. And I've been there too, so I'm not judging. ECUN. I got you, girl. Yes. It's gonna be amazing. Yeah. So again, find my profile on Facebook, and I also drop it in the comments sometime after I get off. Where again, you click the subscribe button and you come on in and let's vibe. It's gonna be a vibe, y'all. If you see how I act now, this is how I act. There's no change. I am always very laid back. I'm always, I'm really down to earth. And sometimes I'm too laid back. And then I have to remember, like, whoa, hey, I need to actually fight for myself like I did, like I didn't do then. But this is how it's gonna be. So I am so appreciative of each and every one of you all joining me here on this broadcast, especially for my second time. You want to start your own maintenance business? I know that's right. Man, let me tell you, I was telling my husband, I was like, look, you need to start a business doing something, fixing something that people don't like fixing because there is always a market for it. It's never going to go anywhere. It's one of those markets that's always ever evolving. Something is going to always need to be fixed. There's just no doubt about it. You should do it. You should absolutely 100% definitely do it. So I am so happy to see you in, Lisa. This is going to be amazing. It's going to be fun. This is going to be the tribe, y'all. It's going to be the community. You won't just have me. You'll have other people to talk to as well. And thank y'all. Thank you so much. So I got to figure out how to click off on TikTok. And then I'm also going to, in the stream,